Kavitha, the world of finance is confounding for most people. What did it take you to break into it?
Firstly, the beauty about finance and the stock market is the stock markets know no gender, right? When you place that trade, it doesn't matter who you are, which part of India you're from, what your gender is, right? So the stock market is actually genderless. And I feel like for a lot of my life, I have been in rooms and classrooms and corporate rooms, but there have been very few women. And at some point, I just stopped worrying about it and just said, let's take one step at a time, put one foot in front of the other, and just taking it from there.
So, when you're one of the few women in a room full of men, is it difficult to convince people?
I think that credibility has to be built, whether you're a man or a woman. Now, that said, what I am not going to say for a second is that there isn't bias and there aren't stereotypes. And I do feel like there is that extra burden on women. You need to be that 2x, 3x better than the men in the room, honestly, to be taken more seriously or just as seriously as them. I think so. But once people consistently see that you do what you say and you're adding value, I think India of all countries has shown that there are a lot of women in senior positions, from the FM to the erstwhile PM and so on and so forth.
When you run a company, as a woman, what do you bring to the table as a leader? And what are some of the leadership lessons you've learned and unlearned along the way?
So I think a couple of things is, like I said, ultimately it is a raw horsepower. Are your answers correct? Are the decisions you're making right? Are you leading the team in the right way? Are your prioritization right? And those are important irrespective of gender, irrespective of which industry you're in, right? So those fundamental basics help. I also think that as women, and maybe this is me and not the gender, and that's one of the challenges, by the way. Where do you end and where does your representation of the gender start is also one of the challenges in how we think about things, right? But I feel like as women, we are less able to or willing to advocate for ourselves or put ourselves out there. And I myself am definitely a culprit in that regard. And I think maybe changing that and an event like this is definitely helping in that regard. Might make more women willing to see that and come out and do similar stuff themselves.
So to a young girl, someone who's greatly interested in numbers, perhaps the stock market, etc., but not sure of where to take the next step, what would your advice be?
So my whole life is a series of serendipity. I had plans, I had grand plans, and they've all been appended. But whatever came along next turned out to be way better than what I had planned for myself, right? So I'd like to say that life is like a stock price chart. Kabhi the price can go up and sometimes it can come down, but the intrinsic value over the long term will keep growing. That's the focus we need to have, and we should not worry about temporary ups and temporary downs.